going to come forward to introduce him? Really?
Gemar Tov and Shabbat Shalom. Before we begin, we take a moment to first welcome all who are joining us. We first want to turn and welcome all who are joining us on live stream. And also, hi, Cantor Rednitsky back there. We want to extend a special welcome to all of the congregations in the Tampa area who are joining us virtually because they've been affected by the hurricane. We hope everyone is safe, and we know how difficult it must be to be not only dealing with this kind of a disaster, but also to be not with your congregational family on Yom Kippur. We know that must be so difficult, and we hope you find some comfort and solace in our services this evening. We want to take a moment also to say hello to those who are in the space with us. I'll invite you to turn to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west, and wish a Gemar Tov and a Shabbat Shalom to those around you. The Torah refers to Yom Kippur as Shabbat Shabbaton, the Shabbat of Shabbats, which means that in a year like this one, when Yom Kippur lands on Shabbat, we are observing the Shabbat of Shabbats of Shabbats. And I think we are all very much in need of a Shabbat of Shabbats of Shabbats. It's been a long, exhausting, gut-wrenching year, but we're here and we're together. Let's embrace the Shabbat Shabbaton and let ourselves take a deep breath in and out and begin our Yom Kippur with a moment to just let ourselves settle in to really appreciate what it means to be here tonight. That despite the challenges of the past year, we made it through together. With our sun set behind us, we bring in light and warmth into our lives by lighting the candles. It's my honor to invite Larry and Dale Polsky, Jonathan, Annie, and Dylan Brackus, and Tony Brackus to light our candles.
The human spirit is the lamp of God, searching out what lies within us. Guided by the flame of conscience, on this sacred night we search for truth. Shine your light upon us as we strive to serve you. May we find safety in your faithful love. We light the flame of healing and forgiveness. On this atonement night, we give thanks for love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu lemitzvotav, v'tzivanu ad l'ner shel Shabbat, v'shel Yom HaKippurim. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on Shabbat and Yom Kippur.
We read responsively on page 14. Yom Kippur, the Jewish people's festival of the soul, and Kol Nidrei, its sacred portal. A night of deep emotions as the psalmist wrote, to rejoice with trembling. We rejoice at the sounds of Kol Nidrei, rhythmic words of release from vows, oaths, and promises to God we fail to keep. We tremble at the melody, music of spiritual amazement. It fills us with awe as we stand before God and Torah. We rejoice that we stand together, strengthened by community in this hour of shared weakness and humility. We tremble, for tonight we confess our flaws, admit our imperfection, and acknowledge a power far beyond our understanding. We rejoice that we commit ourselves to great endeavors because we feel so deeply and think so nobly. We tremble, for we find that our ideals are far greater than our ability. Our promises surpass our might. We rejoice in the freedom that is Kol Nidrei's true gift, the freedom to begin a new year without fear of failure, to aspire to be God's image in the world. We tremble because we are mortal. We rejoice in our gratitude for life. We rejoice with trembling and enter Kol Nidrei to face our humanity. Please rise.
With one voice assembled, sages past and present declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly. Page 19, together. Let our speech be pure and our promises sincere. Let our spoken words, every vow and every oath, be honest and well-intentioned. Let our words cause no pain, bring no harm, and never lead to shame, distrust, or fear. And if, after honest effort, we are unable to fulfill a promise, a vow, or an oath, may we be released from its obligation and forgiven for our failure. Let our speech be pure and our promises sincere.
Kol Nidrei ve'esarei v'charamei ve'konamei ve'chinuyei ve'kinusei
Page 20. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked.
Day and night are yours, creative spirit of the universe. The muted colors of twilight, the radiance of dawn. Yours are the spreading wings of light, the deepening shadows of darkness, and ever-changing drama. Together, in the human heart, too, the struggle between darkness and light unfolds. From sunlit heights of generosity, the human heart sinks to the gloomy depths of selfishness. Although we fall, you give us the strength to rise again. You call on those who hurt through word or deed to break free from wrongdoing and return to you. All who hear your call to goodness are embraced. All who reject emptiness and evil find acceptance from you. We come into your presence this night of Kol Nidrei, aware that our shortcomings and weaknesses are many. Yet, encouraged by your promise of forgiveness, we choose freely the path of repentance, restoring wholeness to our lives and holiness to the world. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk.
לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
The image of the Israelites singing Mi Chamocha after crossing the sea is one of power and one of hope. Energized by the miracle of the waters parting, there is a wilderness of possibilities before them. In these opening days of the new year, we too hope to be inspired and to see endless possibilities before us. Page 40. Page 43. When fears multiply and danger threatens, when sickness comes, when death confronts us, it is God's blessing of shalom that sustains us and upholds us, lightening our burden, dispelling our worry, restoring our strength, renewing our hope, reviving us. Page 42.
Eloheinu leshalom, ve'havidenu
Erdheim reminded us Yom Kippur is sometimes called Shabbat Shabbaton, the Shabbat of Shabbats. So on this Yom Kippur that falls on Shabbat, we especially sing the words of V'shamru, recognizing the bond that Shabbat creates between God and the Jewish people. Page 44. Vayom hazeh yechaper aleichem letaher etchem mikol chatotechem lifnei Adonai titarun. For on this day atonement shall be made for you to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai. We rise to the Amidah on page 46.
Yeah. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך שמו,
מחיי הכל.
Please be seated. Page 53. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Baruch ata Adonai hamelech hakadosh. We take time now for our own silent prayer, sharing with God the words of our machzor, our prayer book, or the words of our own hearts.
The hardest part of talking to you is taking time to listen and to quiet myself. And when I finally calm down, my ears start ringing from all the room you leave for me. Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, U'smerachem Aleinu.
moment, we'll begin our vidui, our communal confession. And it's a Jewish tradition to gently beat our fists against our chest as we recite the words of the vidui. We acknowledge that we are all culpable for each of the wrongdoings that we list. But it's not this kind of self-beating. We're actually tapping our hearts, inviting our hearts to open to feel the full weight of our actions. Just as the shofar awakens us on Rosh Hashanah, we tap our hearts on Yom Kippur to awaken our souls to tshuva. Please rise, page 82. continue with our Vidui Rabbah, the long confession, on page 86. For these sins, O God, we ask forgiveness.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business. Forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you by giving into our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha.
The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit.
Ve'al
Forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Page 106.
Rise for Avinu Malkeinu on page 112. Avinu Malkeinu, ha'er lanu et derech hayenu. Avinu Malkeinu, illumine for us the path of our life. Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we find the strength to take the road less traveled by? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we come to know the purpose of our existence? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we learn not to live life in vain? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we get out of our indifference? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we distinguish between truth and falsehood? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we find the answers to our questions? Avinu Malkeinu, how shall we gird ourselves with strength to seek answers?
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu,
my dad, my sisters, and I sat around a big round table in the funeral home director's office, trying our best to focus on the words that he was saying while struggling to wrap our heads around what was happening. The reality that Mom was dying, and we needed to make arrangements for her funeral. "So you'll bring in some clothes for her to be buried in," he informed us. Wait, what? That was a detail none of us had ever really thought about. So later that evening, we threw around some ideas. One of her many snarky political t-shirts, her dad's work shirt, her Jewish dog pajamas. Then suddenly, my sister Sammy's face lit up. "Oh my God, I know what we should put her in. The Angry Donald sweatshirt." For some background, one summer, my family and I went on a trip to Disney World. While there, my mom bought for herself, out of necessity after one of those sudden and intense Florida rainstorms, a sweatshirt from the gift shop. Of all the sweatshirts she could have chosen, she picked a blue zip-up sweatshirt with a gigantic, angry Donald Duck right in the center. His brow furrowed, his beak wide open mid-yell, spit flying out of his mouth. It, of course, became one of her favorite articles of clothing. And it was a fitting sweatshirt for her. You see, my mom was an incredibly goofy person, known to make herself laugh so hard that she cried. But she also held deeply held convictions and was sometimes, admittedly, irrationally stubborn about her opinions. The result was a person who was equal parts silliness and absolute pure rage. The Angry Donald sweatshirt was perfect. The moment my sister mentioned it, we all burst out laughing. We laughed and we cried. We laughed until we cried. And then, somewhere in that space between laughter and grief, we realized they weren't separate anymore. The laughter and the tears, they were tangled together, inseparable, just like our memories of her. When we had finally collected ourselves, Sammy said, "You know, it's funny, my therapist was just asking if in the midst of all this, we were still laughing and finding moments of joy. I guess we're doing as okay as we can be." As anyone here who has endured a profound loss might understand, it is often when we are in the darkest moments that we laugh the hardest. When our reality seems unbearable, we realize that there is nothing else to do but laugh at the dissociative, bizarre experience of life-altering loss. So here's the punchline. This is a sermon about humor and laughter. Yes, I know what you might be thinking. Really, Rabbi? Comedy? That's the topic of your Kol Nidrei sermon? In the same week we marked the anniversary of October 7th? That is the choice I have made. Did it provide a great excuse to watch stand-up comedy specials during work hours? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I promise that's not why I chose the topic. There are moments in our lives when we experience such profound tragedy, personally, communally, nationally, that it's hard to imagine that we will ever laugh again. For many of us, I just described the past year of our lives. But tonight, I'm here to say that not only can we laugh, but we must. Humor is a fundamental Jewish value, but it is more than that. It is an existential human need. There's a story in the Talmud about a rabbi named Baroka who is walking through the market casually with Elijah the prophet, as you do, because it turns out that Elijah doesn't only enjoy attending brisses and mooching wine from your Passover Seder, he also enjoys a good farmer's market. Very. The rabbi asked Elijah, "Who here is worthy to inherit the world to come?" Elijah thought for a moment and pointed to two jesters who were busy entertaining the crowds. "Really?" the rabbi said. Those guys over there making fools of themselves? They're the ones who are going to heaven?" Elijah explained, "Yes, because they create joy and cheer up the depressed, and use their sense of humor to bring people together and to make peace." This story shows us something essential about who we are as Jews. Humor isn't just something we do for fun. It's something we do to survive. Before there was Alex Edelman or Joan Rivers or Jerry Seinfeld, there were people like Rabbi Baroka, walking through crowded markets asking, "Who here brings the kind of joy that can change a life?" Humor has been, as Dr. Ari Sofer puts it, our psychological weapon. Comedy is sacred because it lifts our spirits, helps us foster connections, and pushes us to imagine and build a more just and peaceful world. Now, that might feel like a tall order for a joke, but I don't think it's a coincidence that Jews have been at the forefront of comedy for centuries, and that, despite incessant persecution, marginalization, and attempts at annihilation, we are still here. Hey, who knows, maybe if those Amalekites and Jebusites had loosened up just a little bit, they'd still be kicking with us today. Who knows? Humor is one of the greatest forms of catharsis, a moment of release. It's like the trainers and coaches who hand cups of water to marathon runners, exhausted and winded. A joke refuels us, gives us just enough strength to put one foot in front of the other, even with the miles and obstacles ahead. When the world feels unbearable, when we feel insignificant and powerless, humor can remind us of our own humanity. Even during the Holocaust, survivor and Jewish entertainer Robert Clary, later known for his roles in shows like Days of Our Lives and Hogan's Heroes, performed song and dance routines in the camps for other prisoners. While his comedy sadly could not spare their lives, it certainly helped them, if even just for a moment, to remember their own humanity. Throughout Jewish history, despite humiliation and persecution, humor has been a psychological defense and an essential tool, helping us to laugh at the absurdity of hatred and bigotry. Humor has been, and will continue to be, paramount to our survival. But comedy isn't just momentary relief. It helps us forge deep connections, particularly with those who share our struggles. In 2015, aspiring comedian Heather McMahon's father died from pancreatic cancer just 1 week after his diagnosis. To cope, she turned to Instagram, creating what she called the Dead Dad Club, where she shared humor born from her own grief. Her vulnerability and jokes resonated deeply with others who had lost a parent, building community around their shared experience. McMahon not only connected with others, but helped them connect with each other over the profound shared reality of loss. Comedy also confronts taboos, shining a light on issues like infertility, abortion, racism, sexual assault, domestic abuse, mental health, and more. Comedy says, these don't have to be a source of shame. If it's mentionable, it's manageable. Of course, there is a dark side to comedy as well. Comedy can harm, especially when jokes about marginalized experiences come from outside of those communities. There is certainly comedy out there that belittles the marginalized, punching down instead of fostering connection or validation. But when comedians who have lived through these challenges share their experience on stage, their humor reassures viewers that their pain is real and that it's okay to laugh. Humor gives us strength when we are barely holding it together. In the hardest moments, it lets us breathe, give us a break from the heaviness, and reminds us that we're still human. But here's what's really incredible about humor. It doesn't just help us survive. It helps us see things differently. In those moments of laughter, when we're cracking up so hard we're crying, we're not just finding relief. We're seeing the world in a new way. Humor opens a small space where we can step back, look at our pain, and say, wait, this doesn't have to be the whole story. It gives us the courage to challenge the way things are, to name what's absurd or unfair, and to imagine a world that could be different, a world that's more joyful, more just, more kind. That is the real power of laughter. It reminds us that even in our hardest moments, we have the strength not only to endure, but to transform. Humor shows us the cracks in the walls, and it's through those cracks that the lights get in. There is an adage that tragedy plus time equals comedy. This belief that we need space between us and the trauma before we can laugh about it. But what if humor can be a tool we use to navigate and process our trauma in the moment? In 2012, stand-up comedian Tig Notaro stepped onto a stage and did something remarkable. She opened with the words, "I have cancer, how are you?" And in that moment, she shattered the boundary between comedy and tragedy. It wasn't just about making a joke to cope, it was about confronting the hardest parts of life head on, using humor to process the trauma she was actively living through. But what's profound here is that she didn't just use humor to survive. She used it to invite others into her vulnerability and reshape the way we think about illness, trauma, even life itself. Her humor and her jokes weren't just an escape from reality, it was a way to change the way she and we experience that reality. Humor can be a way of working through the moment, not detaching from it. It allows us to live in the pain and transform it. Humor, when used this way, does more than help us process personal pain. It has the power to expose the absurdity of the world, the injustices, the stereotypes, the systems that hold us back. Really great comedy doesn't just make us laugh. It forces us to question what's wrong and to imagine what could be different. That's what Notaro did in that special, Boyish Girl Interrupted. In one of the most powerful moments, she actually took off her shirt on stage, revealing the scars from her double mastectomy. She didn't pause or explain, she just kept performing. By embracing her own discomfort in such a public way, she wasn't just talking about her body. She was challenging us to rethink how we see illness, gender, and vulnerability. It was a moment of reimagining the world, not just surviving in it. So what exactly am I asking us to do? Because I am certainly not suggesting that we all become professional comedians, because let's be honest, most of us couldn't hack it. Let's keep our day jobs, okay? But I do want us to give ourselves permission to laugh and to embrace what I'm calling a comedic mindset. And what does that mindset look like? Well, here is a rabbi's understanding of how to think like a comedian in 3 easy steps. Step 1, observe. Comedians have a gift for seeing things others don't. They notice the absurdities, the little ironies, the contradictions in everyday life. The blast of the shofar is our call to wake up and observe the world around us with clarity. It pushes us to notice what's wrong, what's backward, what's unjust, what's harmful. Step 2, name it. It's not enough to just observe. Comedians take what they've noticed and shine a light on it. They point to the absurdity and say, look at this is ridiculous, right? When we name what's wrong, we begin to shift the shame from those who are suffering onto the broken systems or harmful norms that caused the suffering in the first place. Step 3, reimagine it. Once we see and name what's wrong, humor helps us dream of something better. It pushes us to ask, what if? Humor stretches our minds, allows us to get creative, and invites us to imagine the world not as it is, but as it could be. Observe it, name it, reimagine it. Laughter is part of our lineage as Jews, stretching as far back as the Torah itself. The very first Jewish person to be given a name by God in the Torah is Isaac, a name meaning one who laughs, or simply laughter. And that laughter began long before his birth. When Sarah overhears that she's going to have a baby at 75, she laughs, not from a place of joy or jubilation, but from disbelief, frustration, and even anger. But when Isaac is born, she declares in delight, God has brought me laughter. In the year 5785, may our laughter of frustration, disbelief, and anger transform to laughter of delight, even if it is just momentary. Even in the darkest moments, may we laugh through our tears, and may that laughter transform into something bigger, something joyful, something healing, something that reminds us that light can always find its way in.
We rise with the words of Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 116.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula ve'otzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, ve'lo samanu kemishmechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, ve'ror aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. ונאמר, והיה
Few prayers hold the heart of Jewish people quite like the mourner's Kaddish. It's often said that its purpose is to affirm life, to lift up our gratitude to God, and to express our love for those who have left us. The Kaddish is so much more than that, because when we speak these ancient words, we claim our humanity in the quiet moments between each line. We remember them. We remember the way that their smile could light up a room. Or maybe perhaps the quirky words that they mispronounce that still make us chuckle. Or the lively debates that we sometimes wish that we could avoid. The familiar jokes that they told over and over and over again. The recipes that live on in our kitchens and on our taste buds and in our hearts. The love that they gave us, which no amount of time can erase. Because we often say that time is precious, but the truth is, the moments that we shared with the people that we lost are beyond value. And sometimes it's precisely in the absence and in their absence that we realize how priceless they were. Because Yom Kippur falls on Shabbat, we say the names that we are remembering in our congregation who died recently and those who died at this season in years past. And as we do in every Shabbat, we invite those who are mourning, those who had loved ones recently died in the past 30 days, and those who are observing Yartzeit's anniversary of their loved ones' deaths, to please rise as their name of your loved one is read. We are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days after the deaths of Scout Makvik, Lenore Marks, and Larry Siegel. We remember with sympathy the Yartzeits, the anniversaries of the deaths of Barbara Alpert, Fanny Benson, Joan Bernard, Leslie Bernstein, Martha Blitz, Dorothy Block, Dorothy Blumenreich, Marion Brower, Ellen Bernstein, Robert Cohen, Becky Cohen, John M. Cook, Saul Dumas, Friedel Eckstein, Barry Fleur, Celia Glassberg, Max Golder, Ellen Goldfarb, Nita Goldfarb, Leonard D. Goodman, Ida Goodman, Sidney Guzner, Florence Green, William Gupton Sr., Dina Hambury, Maurice Hennis, Paul David Herzog, Naira Horowitz, George Jacobs, Sophia Smith Kaufman, Erwin Kirsch, Benjamin Klein, Samuel Krefitz, Morris Liebman, Esther Levy, Saul Lieberman, Sylvia Lindner Marcus, Stacy Marino, Sidney Mellett, Sophia Mellett, Robert Millman, Anna Millman, Jeanette Meerman, Esther Packman, Robert Raitt, John Rinderman, Beverly Rosenheim, Jean Saya, Pierce Slutsky, Alan Sherman, Irving Toller, Martha Wagner, Sally Wasserman. We remember as well those who died in the recent hurricanes of Helene and Milton. Remember those who died in the Shoah and the Holocaust, the 1,200 women, children, and men who were murdered by Hamas, and all who died defending the state of Israel, our American servicemen and women and first responders who have died defending us. We pay tribute to their lives, their light, their love, as we rise together and support the mourners in our community with the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, found on page 122. Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma tivrach yurtei yamlich ma'kutei, v'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei tefol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'bizman kariv v'ibru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei olamaya, Yitbarach v'yitkabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei kudashah b'rifu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'romav. Huya aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael
Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel.
v'imru. Amen. A few announcements. First, I know that Rabbi Erdheim said hello and welcome to our community members and fellow Jews in Tampa and in Clearwater and in Naples. Just to let you know, our congregation has been chosen to stream services to the Florida area. So hello from Florida. We are glad to have you here, and we are wishing you the best. We also, of course, are thrilled to welcome all of our community members who are from Asheville and from Western North Carolina. We are with you, and we are supporting you, and we are glad that you are here in your congregational home as well here at Temple Bethel, and looking forward to getting you back home to Western North Carolina. Speaking of which, our Hurricane Hunger Relief and High Holiday Hunger Drive is going on. And I have to say that our Liberty leaders got up here. And Jocelyn, she challenged you to raise $12,000. And as of tonight, we've raised $21,000. But we can do better than that. And I promised Liberty that I would announce not only how much we've raised, but how much we could raise. If you were to go to the QR codes that are provided in the handouts or on the posters outside to raise money not only for the hunger drive that we usually do, but for the hurricane relief in Western North Carolina and also for our friends now in Florida. Our Yom Kippur study options. Tomorrow morning we have services at 8:30 a.m. for our families with young children and families with school-age children. And then we have our services at 11 a.m. And then on Yom Kippur, we have study sessions available between our 1:30 p.m. service and our 3:30 p.m. service. We want you to stay here all day. We're going to be here, by all means. So a couple of things, a couple of options. So there's an option for a talk for a change. That's going to be with me addressing the election anxieties that we might be having. Some of you might be having some. And if you are, come on over. We're going to have an open and respectful conversation about our emotions surrounding the upcoming election. We're going to have an opportunity, I see Ellen right here, to do a Write Now on Yom Kippur. That is a writing exercise, a reflective writing with Ellen Reich using the Amherst Writers and Artists method. You'll have a space to write and share and support in a sacred setting in our boardroom. We have Yom Kippur Yoga, and I think I saw Rabbi Schindler. There she is. Rabbi Judy, our beloved Rabbi Emerita, is going to be there, and we're going to do a special Yom Kippur themed yoga session, and that's going to be in Gorelick Hall. Please use the LJCC entrance. If you don't have a yoga mat, we have one for you. And also mindfulness and meditation led by Rabbi Erdheim in the Polsky Beit Midrash. Our Yisker and Healing service and Neela service will begin at 3:30 p.m. here in Blumenthal Sanctuary. If you parked across the street at the church, you'll have to move your car before the 3:30 p.m. service. A couple of other things, just a few more. One, Cantor Danielle Rudnitsky is going to be installed in our congregation, and I know that all of you are going to come back on the weekend of January 10th through 12th for a joyous weekend as we formally install Cantor Rudnitsky as our cantor in our congregation. You think she's been here, she's led us in high holiday service, now it's time to install her as our cantor, which we are excited to do. Also, there are a variety of handouts that we want you to take. We have our Lizkor B'Lichvod, in honor and memory of members in our community that we're remembering and honoring in our community. We have our TBE Together handout, which is in the hallway as well. And this is our new strategic plan. We want to be transparent and clear and have you read it. And also, all of our lifelong Jewish learning opportunities this fall and into the winter. Please take one and absolutely get involved and get educated and come be a part of community. The last couple things. At Temple Bethel, civic engagement is a sacred responsibility, and we aim to be a 100% voting congregation. Early voting starts October 17th, so make a plan just in time for Sukkot. They did that on purpose, I know. Thousands of years ago, they made that plan. Visit our Sukkot's voting in the booth section for resources to plan your vote and grab some fun swag to celebrate your civic duty. And finally, some thank yous. As Pete Seeger, via Ecclesiastes said, there's a time to kvel and there's a time to kvetch. And this is a time to kvel. Thank you all to our choir, to our cantor, to our ushers and greeters and our board members, our medical volunteers, to our Shalom Park partners and our security and the police and everyone who's here, and to our incredible staff and clergy. You make the High Holidays experiences so meaningful, and thank you to each of you, because to come here, to be here as one community is really a special thing, and we don't take that for granted. Thank you for being here. We're going to take a moment to conclude, and as we do, I know that our clergy are going to go out, and we're going to go out and make sure to say Gemar Chatima Tova, may you be inscribed in the Book of Life. And just before I do that, one more thing. I know I've been up here for a long time. If fasting for you is a spiritual experience, please do so. But please, please take care of yourself. That is the most important thing that we do. So if you need to drink some water, drink some water. If you're going to take some medication, you need to take food with that, do that. Take care of yourself. And if fasting is a spiritual and uplifting experience, then we wish for you an easy fast.
Tova.